the nebula of dreams and lore. Uncle Chunk's got tales galore. With the mighty beard, a hammer strong. Pop culture legends where we belong. Chunkcast roars like a cosmic storm. Movies, comics, games, we transform. Uncle Chunk leads the way each night. Through the stars we take our flight.
By the might of Mjolnir, I am king of this realm, Uncle Chant, and I hope you're all being great ones to you and yours. Thank you for including me in your day. It has been a while. It has been a while indeed. And a new intro. I've been a bit busy since the last Chunkcast, that's for sure. So here we are back, first off the rank in February 2025. I'm going to fill you in on some things that have happened while I've been away, some hardware situations and issues, and everything else that I've been up to. But anyway, hope you're doing well. Let me know in the comments below how you've been doing. I'm interested to know. It's been a minute. And thanks for those who've kind of just pinged me every now and then online, like asking what I'm doing. And it's been great. So thank you for that. So what I'm going to do in this episode, I'm going to start off with an Ask Chunt as usual. Right, I still like that. So if you are still wanting to submit your questions for me to talk about or answer, go for it. Just hashtag Ask Chunt, tag me in it at Uncle Chunt, probably wherever it is. And I'll check every week for those. And I'll just keep a catalog like I've got already, and I'll work through them eventually. I'll try and pick them out, like if they're current topics or whatnot, and just shuffle them around if I can. But anyway, so we got a few things to talk about. Fantastic Four movie trailer finally came out. I got some thoughts on that. Rob Liefeld from indie fame or Marvel fame from where he started from and broke off, to Image Comics and all that. He's had some pretty sharp words towards Marvel lately, which is I find it very interesting. So I want to discuss it, and I want to wrap up with something that probably most of you haven't heard about, but the Captain Planet. If you remember what Captain Planet is, but he's got a new comic coming out and it looks pretty good. So I just want to highlight that for any of those who are interested to know about it. I think it's cool, so I'm going to cover it. So what have I been doing? So last year you probably saw, not to start off with a shameless plug, but I've been busy doing this, right? So I put this book out last year and I personally think it was a success. Did a lot better than I thought it was going to. Had a lot of feedback from those online, and the reviews are good on Amazon. And I've actually started the second book, and I've been animating the first one into a bit of a web series. So yeah, I've been quite busy. So I just found I couldn't dedicate enough time to focus on enough things. So I pretty much decided just to stop doing any online content for a while, so I could just get my priorities straight, focus on a couple projects, and get them done, basically. Instead of worrying about what was happening in the echo chamber of sorts of social media and entertainment, pop culture, and all that kind of stuff. Like, there's always something going on, and it's mostly negative. So I just got over it, really. And I just wanted to step away. So what did that allow me to do is just to focus and get this book done, right? And think about what I really wanted to do and just have a break and just align things. So I'm happy I got that book done. It's on Amazon, by the way. Could you burn Harold? Go for it. No pressure. But I also just thought, what can I do with my online presence instead of talking about negative stuff, right? You can go find anyone out there that's doing the chain, doing the churn, doing the spin, right? Anywhere. Anyone's trying to make everything into a negative, right? I don't want to do that. I don't want to come up and do this. Part of the reason I stopped doing it is because there's just a lot of negative stuff out there to talk about, where I just found that anything that people were looking for was just negative stories, right? I don't want to do that anymore. So if that means my discovery isn't as good, I don't really care. I'd rather, if I'm going to come here and sit in front of this camera and talk to you, right, all of you watching this who still stick around to see what I've got to say, right, I'd rather have something cool to talk about, or something that I enjoy or something I thought was cool, right? Something you might not have heard about, and just put it out there, right? I feel it's going to be a better use of my time, but yours as well. If I'm not just sitting here for an hour talking about stuff that sucks or that's not doing well, or, you know, like, you go find that somewhere else. I don't even look for that stuff anymore, right? It just became poisonous, and yeah, I just don't want to do it. So if you're hoping that I'm going to give some of that, right, you're probably not going to find it. Like, sure, yeah, there might be something that's probably negative that I might want to talk about, but I feel it's worth having my say on it. Then yeah, I'll do that, but it's not going to be my focus, right? I've reclaimed things that I enjoy, and I want to keep it that way, and I don't want things to be sullied going further. So yeah, I'm going to talk about, you know, comics and books that I'm picking up, and action figures that I've been collecting, and, you know, games that I've been playing, and all that kind of stuff. So if that sounds cool to you, you know, I'm probably going to talk about some projects that I'm working on as well, right? It's my platform. I can choose to talk about it and put it out there. So that's the year, right? There's also the thought of going to some conventions this year. Once I've got some physical product together, I'm going to go to Brisbane if I can arrange it. Brisbane or Gold Coast Supernova. So keep an eye out. Like, if you are around Brisbane and Gold Coast, those of you who watch my show here and my channel, it's on my cards. It's something I'm thinking about doing, so I can try and be a part of that, you know, and get my works out there, and just be proud of something and have that achievement, that personal achievement, and get it in front of some eyes and in physical hands. So yeah, that's a brief recap of things that I've been doing, what I've been up to. And anyway, so let's just hook into it. I've got a bit of new polish on this as well. So I've been working with some new systems and tools that I've never dabbled in before, but I thought I'd just try it and get myself some custom music. And yes, I'm just going to call it out now. I've used AI, right? I know that's taboo to talk about as an artist. It's probably hypocritical for me to be using AI, I guess some would say, to get things that I need. But I don't know about you, but I can't afford music studios or composers or whatever to generate a song or a theme song or some music or any backtracks for me. I don't have that resource, right? So I thought, yeah, I'll just use AI, and it's legal. I'm paying for it, and I have the commercial licenses for them. So I'm just going to put it out there now in case someone decides to crack it and go, right, I get it. AI is here, it's here to stay, and it's getting better every day. But I'm still going to do my thing. And I think it's smarter to use it as a tool to elevate what I'm doing than just fight it. So you'll start hearing some of that on the channel. That's all I'm saying. So just want to get that out of the way, because I know someone out there is probably going to have a problem with that. I'm really stoked with some of the results. So anyway, so hopefully you've been well. Let's just get into it, and let's just do the Ask Chunt thing. So here we go.
Ask Chunt, break through the night, seek the true power and might.
Yes, here we go. I don't know, but I really like that song. I've got the long version. Might sound like I'm really into myself, and it's probably egregious and a bit weird, but I'm just proud of how those turned out. Anyway, love it. So Ask Chunt. So this comes from Sasuke, 1995. That I feel very dated about now. So anyway, so 2025 is here. What are you reading, playing, watching lately? Any recent pickups? Yes, I've been picking up a lot. I've been getting into the omnibus hobby, right? So an omnibus, I'm not going to grab one off the shelf right now, but an omnibus is like a really thick book. Probably about, this big, this thick or whatever, depending on the volume, or it could be a bit smaller, and it's an oversized hardcover print of a certain run of comic books or a certain story from like Marvel or DC or one of your favorite publishers, where they put out these big oversized deluxe volumes. I've been getting into a lot of that. I've got 2 shelves either side of me here that are just chockers of omnibus, and I've had more pre-ordered this year. Basically, yeah, the reason why is I found out that the hobby's quite popular, and I know they've been a thing for a long time, but super expensive. But Amazon, I've been buying them all on Amazon. So sorry, I haven't been able to support local businesses, but it's just way too expensive. But I've been able to get some insane discounts through Amazon. Insane. It's the only way that I've been able to get as many as I had last year. So yeah, just a lot of Marvel and DC stuff. That's like 90s stuff. You know, I grew up in my childhood, I guess, when my formative years were in the 90s. And there are a lot of stories and books and just epic events or like keystone events that I never got around to reading because, you know, I was a kid. I just didn't have the money. I wasn't working, obviously, because I was like 10 or something. So, but I've heard about it all, like on the playgrounds and all this kind of stuff at school. And now they're printing them all in these big oversized books or whatever. I know they've been in trade paperbacks over the years, but I really like the big chunky book, right? So anytime they print it in an omnibus, I'm down for it. If I can afford it, I'll do it. I'll get it. So yeah, like I've got a lot of Superman, like 90s Superman stuff that they're printing now. The Green Lantern Jeff Johns run, I've got all of that, and the Green Lantern Corps, you know, from Peter Tomasi, and I got the Superman Batman Omnis, you know, from the early 2000s. I've got all the Power Rangers volumes from Boom Studios, or up to date anyway. And I've got some Avengers over here. I've got the Kurt Busiek and George Perez Omnibus 1 and 2, and Jonathan Hickman's entire Avengers run, if I can get it out. And just a number of other stuff, like a lot of Spider-Man 90s, right? I've been trying to get all the way back from like the late 80s all the way through to the mid to late 90s with the Clone Saga and all that. And some modern Spider-Man Omnis where Ben Reilly comes back and he's evil and twisted and all this kind of stuff. And then I've got the entire modern Thor run in Omnibus. And yeah, just some Wildcats and, you know, a few other things. Like I've got some Blue Beetle, like Jaime Reyes, Blue Beetle trade paperback volumes that they put out, like compendiums they call them. And yeah, just some other compendiums which are essentially omnibuses, but they're not hardcovers. They're just soft. I mean, I got them stupid prices. So yeah, I'm just picking up all these books that I've always wanted to read. Just never had the option. You know, yes, I've heard some of these stories on the internet, and you know, there's comic book channels and all that kind of stuff, but I've never read them for myself, and I've always wanted to. So here we are. So I'm looking forward to it. I have started working through. I think I'm on the 3rd volume of the Power Rangers run from Boom Studios. It's like an epic 8-year run, and I've been waiting to read it. It's pretty epic, and it's not cheesy. It's someone, I can't remember who this quote comes from, but it's everything Power Rangers was, all the cool stuff about Power Rangers, but none of the cheese, right? And I was like, okay, that sounds interesting. And then I started looking into it. I'm like, oh wow, this is exactly, it's how I remember it as a kid, you know, like the action stuff and how cool it was and the lore, and it's really, really cool. And it takes it in a different way. So it's not like you're not watching the show just in comic book form. It takes it a bit seriously, and there's stakes. And I really enjoy it. So if you have been reading that, let me know your thoughts. Just don't spoil it for me. But really, really cool. Been digging it. And I picked up just recently Wildcats Compendium. That's another like peak 90s image, you know, Jim Lee and all that kind of stuff. And Cyberforce compendium for that. That's just peak image 90s, and I've always wanted to read that stuff. So anyway, I'm getting a bit excited about that, but that's what I've been reading and what I intend to read. I've got all the event books, the major event books for DC in hardcover format as well. And the Marvelverse DC Omni. And this is going to be a bit long, so just bear with me. So there's 2 omnibus, right? There's the Marvelverse DC, which is all these like old school crossover stories that they used to do. We used to be able to vote in to pick the winner and whatever else, right? I've got that omnibus. It's awesome. I can't wait to read it. But the one thing I want to talk about now is Amazon kind of did me dirty, and I had the other Marvelverse DC omnibus pre-ordered about the Amalgam Universe omnibus, right? Which the Amalgam Universe was back in the 90s. They did a legit crossover, and they created this fake company called Amalgam, and they pretended they pretended as if it's always been there. So they crossed over characters from both companies of Marvel DC. So you got Dark Claw, like Wolverine, crosses Batman, Super Soldier, Captain America, and Superman, etc., etc. Iron Lantern is a cool one. Iron Man and Green Lantern crossover. So, and just, yeah, etc. You get the idea. And every issue, they only had one-shot issues, but every one was written as if it's always been there. So it's got like a previously on last issue, or it'll reference something like, hey, go see issue number whatever, as like a little note annotation in one of the panels, as if it's always been around. And anyway, so that was around my era growing up. Like we had some, my brother and I had some of those, a few issues, the Fantastic Four, whatever it was called, a crossover with whatever. And I think we might have something else as well. But that omnibus has come out, and it's been a limited print run. So anyway, Amazon, I got an email from Amazon. I've had it pre-ordered forever since they went up. And Amazon cancelled it on me, and I was like freaking out. I'm like, no, like I can't miss this. This is like part of comic book history of the Too Big Two. I want this. I can't wait to read it again, or just read all the ones I haven't read. It's a touchstone in 90s comics, or just comics in general. You just don't see that happening anymore, and I want it for posterity. And they cancelled on me, so like, oh well, there goes my pre-order bonus. You know, guarantee we get the lowest price as possible, etc., etc. Anyway, so they cancelled on me, and I had to try and I spoke to them in 5 different reps to try and get an answer as to why it was cancelled, and they wiped my order reference, so I couldn't show them how cheap I actually had it going for on my account. I've been watching it for months, and I kept telling them, no, it's this much. I don't want to pay another $110 more, because you cancelled it on me because of whatever stocks, but it's up for sale still on Amazon, but at significantly higher. So I felt like I was getting the shaft here, right? Because I got it really cheap, and I thought that they were just like clearing out all those people that were early, and over time the prices dropped down. And anyway, so you get what I'm saying. I thought I was getting shafted, and I think I was, but it took a lot of back and forth. This is where I like, don't muck with me, right? When I'm set on something, don't muck with me. So I eventually got around to it. I had screenshots of I pulled screenshots from the internet of showing how cheap it's been in history for over the last few months. And this might sound real like anal, but it was a principle of the matter. I want my pre-order bonus guarantee. And I wasn't going to pay an extra $110 more. So I eventually got them down, and I showed them proof of how cheap it's been, but none of those prices were what I was at. I just wanted a happy medium. Like just honor my previous price that I've been monitoring for months, that I can't see record of on my account anymore because he canceled my pre-order, so it says 0, right? And anyway, I eventually won that battle, and they're going to honor it. So I've had to order myself a new copy at a higher price, but I'm going to contact them back. They'll have it all on record, and they're going to reimburse me the difference of $110, whatever it is. So I guess the moral of that story is where I'm going with is just don't roll over. Like if you are generally thinking you're in the right and you think a company has done you wrong, or you're trying to do the right thing and so it just doesn't work out and you get shafted out of something, just stick to your guns and just show proof, right? I'm getting in the habit now of just screenshotting my order history now of any pre-orders that I've got going forward in case I get cancellations again. So I can just send them an email and go, no, look at that, honor that price, please. So just a pro tip for you. Anyway, so that book, I'll have that probably about March, and I'm looking forward to read that and get my reimbursement, obviously. But anyway, that's a long discussion. I've taken up a lot of time here about just comic books, but I don't get to talk about comic books a lot. So it's all coming out now, and it's been a while. So yeah, anyway, a lot to read. I don't know when I'm going to get through all these books, but I'm also thinking of it as like, hey, what do I do during retirement, right? I'll have all of these books. The retirement's like decades away, but I'll have all these books and stories that I can reread over time, and then whatever else I pick up between now and then, and just have my own library. So in my, my later years, I can reread all these stories, or sell them for a profit, whatever down the road, and it is what it is. But playing, I'll just go into playing and watching just real quick because it's not been a lot. I just recently started playing the Monster Hunter Wilds beta, and man, it looks looks awesome. Like graphically, it looks really, really good. Like a lot of frame rate issues. I know it's a beta, but I'm really impressed with it. It feels really good. The online sucks, but I can't believe it, in 2025, Capcom, of all companies, can't figure out how to do online properly. Seriously, my wife and I tried to play quests in that beta. It's an online beta. And we couldn't, for the life of us, figure out how to get ourselves into a game together to share the same world and post the same. Like, we had it nailed in Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter Rise. Like, it was easy. It made sense on how to do it. It was clunky, but it made sense. And now they've got a brand new game coming out in 2025. Where's the lessons learned? You know, they still haven't figured it out. And if someone wants to correct me on it, tell me how to do it, right? And I'll gladly thank you for it, because nothing tells you how to do it. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't show you how to share a world in that beta. I know it's not the full game, but besides the point, I tried to get my wife into a lobby, but I couldn't see her username, and vice versa. So if we're walking around sharing the same lobby in the same place, in the same world hub, we couldn't see each other or the names floating around. They all said Hunter, right? And so it was a mess, and it soured the experience a little bit. I'm not going to pre-order it anymore. I'm just going to wait. I'll wait for a sale. Hopefully they fix all that kind of stuff, in the first year or shortly thereafter. But yeah, I've been playing a lot of other stuff. VR, been playing an absolute bucket ton of VR. My wife and I got some Meta 3 headsets. Been playing a lot of games on that, Unreal stuff. Asgard's Wrath 2 is incredible. Into Black is really fun. There's a lot of exercise games on there that we've been playing as well. Demio, it's not D&D, but it's kind of a tabletop Dungeons and Dragons game, if you want to call it that. It's not Dungeons and Dragons, but you throw a dice and you move your characters around the board and stuff. It's so much fun. I really enjoyed that. It's very difficult though. Anyway, then Beat Saber, and there's all this kind of stuff. Oh, Ragnarok's this drum game. I love it. Anyway, VR, I love it. I can't believe how good it is and immersive it is now. I can't wait to see what the Meta 6 does, a few iterations later. Let's see how we go. But it came bundled with Batman Arkham Shadow. I haven't played that yet because I'm just trying to get through other games. And I want to just have a set time where I've got nothing else on and I can just focus on playing this Batman game because it looks a lot of fun. And just, other stuff, man. Just there's too many games to list on here. But yeah, I've been getting into some games still between everything else and just watching for sales because I'm getting quite thrifty at that. And watching, again, I don't really watch a lot of shows. We're starting to watch Arcane Season 2. We watched Mad Men, the whole series recently. That was a really, really good show. And what was a few other things? The Crisis on Infinite Earths trilogy, animated movies. It was better than I thought it was going to be, but it definitely took a lot of liberties that I didn't really like. It didn't feel as epic as the original 1985's comic book, but it's a very difficult story to tell, and I can't believe they did it in 3 movies. I don't think it needed 3 movies. I just think it needed a bit more focus. Anyway, they were good for what they are. My wife liked it, so I'll take that for what it is. Anyway, recent pickups. Oh, look, a lot of action figures. I've been collecting a lot of Marvel Legends, DC Multiverse. I picked up some Turtles. I got some Turtles, Toydles, Nickelodeon 2015 reissues or whatever they are. Really cool, man. I can't believe how cool they are. I haven't had a full set of Turtles before, I don't think. I think my brother and I might have shared a full set. I definitely know we had a Donatello and a Raphael and a Michelangelo and a Leonardo. Oh, maybe we did. Anyway, but myself, I haven't had my own set of 4 Turtles, and this bundle I got came with Shredder and Splinter from that series. You can, if I lose them, it's no big deal. But the main 4 Turtles, that's where all the budget came from or went into, and you can tell they're really good figures. And I ended up picking up a Toydle van. They did a reissue Turtle van, an 80s one, and I got rid of all the stickers on it because it looks like crap. It looks cheap. It just looks too toyetic. So I got rid of all the stickers and it looks a lot better now. So I've never had a turtle van either. So anyway, I've been collecting a bit and just enjoying myself. And that's like a lot of time to be spent on what I've been doing. So if you're still interested in sticking around on what I've been doing, that's a lot. That's a lot. And that's only part of what I've been up to. So yeah, just living life as best I can while working a day job, as you all probably understand. So anyway, thank you, Sasuke, 1995. You've taken up a lot of time here with me rambling on. This is a simple question, and here we go. Anyways, it's good to be back, and hopefully still stick it around. And we'll get stuck into my thoughts on the Fantastic Four trailer. And yeah, let's see how that goes, eh? Yeah, all right. All right, let's do it. So the Fantastic Four trailer finally launched. They build this hype around it where there was like a live stream of an actual rocket launch, and it was definitely meant to be from that world that they're from. And it was kind of cool, had this retro feel to it. And you know, I was digging it. I was like, yeah, this is cool. This is a way to hype a movie trailer. And I guess it's Fantastic Four, you know, Marvel's first family and all that. Why not, right? They've tried to reboot it for like every 10 years. Looks like they've tried to reboot it. If it works out pretty much, yeah, 2025 is the third time in 3 decades that they've tried to reboot the Fantastic Four on the big screen. So let's see how this one goes. For those of you who don't know, I'll just read a bit of descriptor on what this movie is. And if you haven't watched it, please go do so after this and come back and let me know your thoughts. So, set against the vibrant backdrop of a 1960s inspired retro futuristic world, Marvel Studios' The Fantastic Four First Steps introduces Marvel's first family, Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, who's played by Pedro Pascal, Sue Storm, or the Invisible Woman, played by Vanessa Kirby, Johnny Storm, Human Torch, played by Joseph Quinn. You probably only really know him from Stranger Things. And Ben Grimm, the Thing, played by Ebon Moss Backrack. It's quite a name, as they face their most daunting challenge yet. Forced to balance their roles as heroes with the strength of their family bond, they must defend Earth from a ravenous space god called Galactus, played by Ralph Ineson. I don't know who that is. And his enigmatic herald, Silver Surfer, Julia Garner. More on that later. And if Galactus's plan to devour the entire planet and everyone on it, it weren't bad enough, it suddenly gets very personal. Right. So that says a lot, and I think they might have said too much. That pretty much tells me. Let me tell you what that tells me. First off, what did I think of the trailer? Look, I thought the trailer was quite good. Quite good. I think it nailed what it needed to do. It sparked the interest and intrigue. It looks very different than what you would expect. So how are they going to do this, right? It's set in a 1960s inspired retro futuristic world. So clearly this is in not the main cinematic universe timeline, right? It's in its own thing. And I think they've been pretty open about that leading up, all the press and everything leading up to this trailer. So we're still in the multiverse, for better or worse. But it makes sense because Fantastic Four, being Marvel's first family, they're quite synonymous with Marvel comics and the history of Marvel, all the major events. Like the Fantastic Four are the thing, right? They're, pardon the pun, but they're always part of something or the solution. And them not being around for the entire MCU so far, how do you get around that? They're a big deal. So it makes sense. Okay, let's set them on their own little timeline, their own universe. And look, I think just thinking further ahead a bit with the Secret Wars and Doomsday and stuff like that coming down, there is a comic book called Secret Wars that Jonathan Hickman wrote, which goes back to the Omnibus. It's one of the Omnibus I just recently got, which apparently, from what I hear, is going to lean really heavily into that, right? Which means there's worlds colliding, timelines, there's a conversion, that kind of stuff. So I think, and I'm not alone here, I think everybody's pretty savvy, or at least who's a comic book fan, is pretty savvy that by the end of this Fantastic Four movie, it's probably going to tease into Secret Wars, and there'll be a collapse, like maybe they're trying to escape Galactus. So the line here, it says, if it weren't bad enough, it suddenly gets very personal. Right. So Galactus has come to Earth, threatening to devour Earth. There's the Herald Silver Surfer, Julie Garner. It's a completely different one. I wish we were getting Nor and Rad, but who knows? Maybe after the convergence, Galactus is always there. Galactus existed, or I don't know if they'll do it in this one, but in the comics, he existed in the prior universe, right? And he rebirthed himself or became reborn in our 616 Marvel universe. So he's always there. So if that universe collapses, will he appear or exist in the new one? And will Silver Surfer become Nor and Rad in that universe? So I think that's probably how that's going to go. But something gets very personal. So what does that mean? They haven't said anything about Franklin Richards, who is Reed Richards and Sue Storm's son. And he's just really super powerful. That's putting it mildly. But I don't know if they're going to go that far. I don't know if they're going to have Franklin Richards in here. The trailer makes it look like the Fantastic Four is quite established for quite some time. The relationships are all there. This isn't like an origin story. Reed and Sue Storm have been together for quite some time by the looks. And perhaps it's enough time for them to have a son, right? Maybe they have a baby in this movie, right? Maybe Galactus senses this super powerful creature and not only just wants to destroy Earth, but maybe destroy Franklin as well. Maybe that's what this movie is, right? And everything that happens around that. I don't know. Or maybe Franklin's old enough to be able to think for himself and all that kind of stuff, where maybe at the end of this movie, Franklin Richards saves everybody by using his abilities and his powers to merge them into another universe to save them from Galactus's destruction. Maybe that's how they get into the 616 universe. I don't know. I'm just spitballing ideas here, and it might sound a bit too far, but who knows? We've got Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Doctor Doom, so anything goes at this point, right? So, look, I'm pretty excited for this movie. I think this is the first one. The only other thing is the Daredevil series, the new Daredevil series. That's the only other thing I'm kind of excited for that Marvel's putting out now, as opposed to everything else that they've done for almost 8 years or 5 or 8 years now with the Phase 4 or the MCU that they've tried to do. I haven't been a fan of any of that, and I'm not alone. I'm sure the shareholders in Disney have voiced their concerns at how much money they're losing in the billions of dollars. So now they're trying to hopefully turn it around, and hopefully it's not too late, and we get a good movie, and Marvel can get back on track, because we all want good stuff, right? We all remember those 10 years of the first 10 years of Marvel movies, right? Everything like the Avengers, Captain America, Thor, Iron Man, all that kind of stuff. Then leading into Endgame and all that, man, like that. Like let's get back there, right? Let's make good movies people want to see. Stop the messaging. Let's turn it around. Let's get hyped again. I want something to talk about that's exciting and that's cool every week. So come on. But yeah, so look, I thought the trailer was okay. Right, it definitely confirms a giant Galactus in the movie, which is awesome. He's not going to be a cloud, a space cloud in this one, which is good. I think the only thing that really bothers me as much as I thought it would is Ben Grimm and his Thing voice. I thought it was going to be a bit more gravelly New York, right? But he just sounds like the dude that's playing him. Right, voicing a CG character. I mean, he looks cool. He looks legit, like old school Thing from the 60s, right? It's on point. You can't fault the design. It's iconic. It looks just like he stepped out of the comics, which is awesome. But I was expecting like a Ben Grimm from New York, like kind of, let's do that. If you're going to go the whole way, go the whole way. Like make him a full on New Yorker, like, the ever-loving Thing, all blue eyes, all that kind of stuff. And that's my real poor New York accent. But, just do it. Build the character as it's intended. That really put me off as more than I thought it was going to, I'd like to admit. But if that's the only thing that's putting me off from that trailer, then they've done a good job. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's coming out this year. Won't be too far away. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's July, or March or July. Anyway, around that time period. I don't think it's March. It's too soon. I can't remember. I forgot to write the notes down, but it'll be here before you know it, and we'll have a good Marvel movie. It's around the same time as Superman's out as well, and there's something else that's coming out. There's a 3-hitter weekend, 3-hitter period. The Superman, Fantastic Four, and something else. Anyway, like we're sport for choice. The way we've got a lot of cool things coming out, so I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, anyway, Fantastic Four. There you go. That's my thoughts on it. Let's go. I'm really digging it. Let me know what you think about it, and we'll head straight into the next topic. Okay, and we're back, and we're dealing with The Hollywood Reporter and all its annoying ads on its website that I just had to quickly kill before we jump in here. So, for those of you who don't know, Rob Liefeld, right? Who's Rob Liefeld and why is Chump wanting to talk about him, right? So if you really love the character of Deadpool, then you've got this guy to thank, right? He created him, right? End of story. And this whole story is about how he didn't get enough credit that he was hoping for, and that he asked and got declined, right? So as an artist myself, right, I've never done anything as cool as Rob's done. For those of you who don't know, back in the 90s, Rob Liefeld, Jim Lee, a bunch of others, Todd McFarlane, right, they all broke away from the big two, Marvel and DC, and started their own company, Image Comics, right, from the 90s. And that's where that's where Spawn came from, right? That's where Wildcats and Cyberforce, what's they called? Blood Hunt? No, it's not Blood Hunt. Anyway, a lot of these extreme 90s comics came from, and Rob Liefeld was part of that a part of that initiative. And you know, it's never been done before, and it hasn't been done since. We've had a lot of indie creators now having their own imprints and all that kind of stuff, but not at that level, right? Where you don't have the kind of creative influence at DC and Marvel anymore of that era, right? So this is a big deal for those reasons, where he's a name in the business, right? He's been working with Marvel for about 30 years, and now he's basically saying, I don't want to work with them anymore because of how he was treated during this process of Deadpool and Wolverine, right? So as the headline says, Deadpool creator Rob Liefeld will no longer work with Marvel after Deadpool and Wolverine premiere indignities. The writer Arda describes several perceived slights, such as being denied access to the after party, and makes a head-turning claim: Kevin Feige does not treat comic book creators well. Right, so I've got no insight onto that. I'll take his word for it. But he's got his own podcast called The Robservations. Clever name. And he talks all about it. And he wasn't angry in that. He was just matter of fact and just talked from his heart and what he thought, genuinely. So there he is. That's Rob Liefeld himself, industry legend. You got to respect the guy. You might not like him, but he's done what very few have done, and he's got the money that he can come out and say this kind of stuff. I'm sure he's financially secure, where he can come out here and lambast Marvel and Disney without really worrying about where his next paycheck is coming from. So, good on him. The comic artist and creator says that after more than 30 years, he is severing ties with the publisher from whom he created renowned characters Deadpool and Cable. Liefeld laid out his decision in a 90-minute episode of his Robservations podcast, as well as in a follow-up interview with The Hollywood Reporter, where he detailed a series of perceived slights at July's New York premiere of Deadpool and Wolverine. At the premiere, Liefeld learned that he and his family were not invited to the after party, something he was not accustomed to attending. Something he was accustomed to attending. So with Fox, while the first two movies were with Fox, apparently they treated him a lot better than Marvel and Disney have. He also felt snubbed by Disney brass, including Marvel Studios boss Kevin Feige, whom he says was near him at the red carpet but did not acknowledge him. Skip those ads. He's quoted here: "It was meant to embarrass, diminish, defeat me," Liefeld said on his podcast of not gaining access to the after party. And there was another apparent slight. Liefeld said he posed for professional photos with creatives on the Deadpool and Wolverine team, but later was told by his publicist that those photos were deleted. He believes they were only taken as a courtesy and not intended to be used, though other photos featuring Liefeld alone, as well as with his family, appeared as part of Disney's Getty Press portal from the event. Soon after July's premiere, he decided he would cut ties with Marvel, which he believed no longer wanted him around. He says, "At some point you go, I've received the message, and the message is clear," he said on the podcast. Liefeld said that his discomfort with Marvel began in 2023 when he learned the company made the controversial decision to change the credits on Wolverine, awarding co-creator status to editor Roy Thomas. The character was created decades before Liefeld worked in comics, but he's close to Christine Valada, the widow of late Wolverine co-creator Len Wein, who was upset with the decision, understandably so. Anytime you get in the mix of creator status, I know some people can argue certain points, but if you go back far enough, you'll find out who really is at play, right? This is like around the time when Marvel was just, pay for hire, job for hire. Anybody's coming in, it's all under Marvel's like IP and all that kind of stuff, right? But it's different to, I don't want to go in the weeds with it, but it's different to when you go into Batman and Bob Kane and Bill Finger, right? That's a whole different story where there is evidence there that's obviously come out in light now, where Bill Finger is now credited and everything to do with Batman now as co-creator, right? Where Bob Kane was the guy apparently for decades, right? So that's another story altogether. But this is why it's real careful as an artist and creative myself. Man, I'm back in Liefeld here, right? He created Deadpool and Cable, right? These Deadpool movies have generated billions of dollars, right, for Marvel and DC. Disney. That's what I try to say. Marvel and Disney, billions of dollars, right? And he's just trying to get credit, right? He's not asking for money, and I think he mentions it down the article here. A year later, on June 3rd, 2024, Liefeld fired off an email to Marvel asking if he could receive a special credit. Here we go, on Deadpool and Wolverine, and inquiring what else might be offered to him in terms of access to movie premieres and other promotional opportunities. Liefeld did not ask for more money, as he already has perhaps the richest deal among Marvel creators. So he's not even asking for more money, he just wants to be a higher bill, right? Just like created by Rob Liefeld in the beginning credits, right? I don't personally see an issue with that, but they shoved him towards the very end of the end credits, which isn't fair, I don't think. If you see a lot of, I think it mentions it here in the article as well, but if you see like the Batman movies and Superman movies, etc., they're always in the beginning credits. Like I remember specifically Batman vs Superman in the beginning scene when the credits are still going through. It has it there on the big screen, created by, Joe Shuster and all that. So I don't see anything wrong with his ask. He's the creator of these characters that's generating billions of dollars. I just want a bit more credit, please, and get my name out there. No issue. Marvel generally credits comic creators at the end of the movie, but Liefeld wanted to be elevated to something more significant, citing the opening credits of 1978 Superman, with the whooshing names coming at you at the screen. Like, I get it. Why wouldn't you? Which prominently listed Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, as I mentioned, as the co-creators of Superman. He's quoted here, "Marvel's treatment of creators has never been their strength," Liefeld wrote in the email. "Without the worlds, the characters, and the concepts that we create, and in this specific case, the world of Deadpool, there are no films to shoot." And he's not wrong there. "No blockbusters to distribute. I am not the easy button at Staples. I am the human imagination behind it all." That's really how else can you say that? I am the human imagination behind it all, right? So if you've created this character in this world, that's you. It wouldn't exist without you, right? That's what he's trying to say. Wouldn't exist without him. He asked if his request could be elevated to Feige or Disney CEO Bob Iger. "Comic book creators cannot continue to be relegated as afterthoughts. This is easy to address. Unless I reach out to address it, it will never manifest," he continued. I mean, good on him. Going straight to the big boys about this. I mean, the balls. I can't blame him. I would do the same. Liefeld did not receive a response. And that's the poor thing about it. Not acknowledgement at all. But was told by his agents at Verve that the message was not received well inside Marvel. Why? A day later, he tweeted, "My reps were screamed at today. We are not Fox. Tell me about it." Also hung up on. Right? So this is how Marvel and Disney are treating those people that created the IP that they're raking in billions of dollars from. He believes that tension stemming from this email led to him not being invited to the Deadpool and Wolverine after party. It's kind of childish. Liefeld, while in his 20s and the early 1990s, became part of a Rarefield group of $1 million comic book creators. Yeah, I was kind of hinting at this earlier. Over the years, he developed what his detractors call a hard-charging reputation and a habit of minimizing the contributions of others who also have worked on Deadpool. They point to an oft-cited 2016 New York Times article in which he downplayed the work of Fabian Nicieza. Hopefully I've just butchered that. Hopefully I haven't, but anyway. Who is credited as co-creator for scripting Deadpool's first appearance in New Mutants, number 98, from a plot by Liefeld, who illustrated the 1990 issue. So they're trying to slide him here in this article. I get it, but anyway. Comics, etc. Brisbane, go for it. While we respect what he's contributed, he does not respect what others have contributed, says one insider. But Liefeld, for his part, tells THR he's the one who lobbied 20th Century Studios to give both himself and Nicieza, sorry, it's going to get worse, co-creator status in the first two Deadpool movies. So, good on him. Right? If that's true, then cool, man. He went for it. There's different creator statuses, right? You can create the character, the feel, the look, right? Maybe some key elements, but then you've got writers that will write the story, the characters, the character beats, like, and start building the world. That's a different creator status. So, it's correct, right, to share that co-creator status in that field, much like Bob Kane and Bill Finger and Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. He has cited writer Joe Kelly for introducing the now integral fourth wall-breaking characteristic of the anti-hero 7 years after Liefeld created him. And that's accurate. When Deadpool was first around, he didn't do all that, right? Look into it for yourself. He was more like action and kind of, that extreme character from the 90s. He often credits Deadpool star Ryan Reynolds for elevating the character to the global stage and new levels of popularity. Ultimately, Liefeld and Nicieza, I'm sorry again, were given the standard Deadpool created by credit at the end of Deadpool and Wolverine. Liefeld was also acknowledged in the movie itself in a way few living comic books have enjoyed, and this is what's talking about. If you haven't seen the movie, there's the iconic shot that's in the trailers, and there's a banner for a shop in the background that says Liefeld's Just Feet, right? And as the article's saying here, it's an inside joke. Rob Liefeld's art style, it's been criticized a lot for decades now, where he's the joke is that he doesn't draw feet well, or he tries to hide the feet in the artwork somehow, right? So he just doesn't like feet or something, apparently. Doesn't like drawing them. That's the joke. So that's cool, right? I mean, it's not a Stan Lee cameo, but that's cool. It's an acknowledgement. This all sounds like, an inside joke about the artist who fans say does not draw feet. That's what I just said. Liefeld was also invited to visit the set in London. This all sounds like someone who was indeed accorded the respect of a prominent comic book creator. But when asked by THR about these boons, Liefeld suggests that during the London set visit, he began to feel unwelcome, though he declined to elaborate. So a lot of hearsay, but there's a lot of stuff. You have to take it as hearsay, right? But I'm going to take it at face value as well, because why would he do this? Why would he come out with an almost hour-long podcast, right, and just saying all this kind of stuff? Some might think that's career suicide, but if he's got nothing to lose, then how can you question it then? Like, is he coming across as like a spiteful ex-girlfriend or something, or what? I don't know, but I have to give him the benefit of the doubt here, because him coming out and saying I'm never working with Marvel again, they did this, they said this, they treated me unwell here. He would only do that, I think, as a business move, is if it was real, right? If he's not going to get what he feels is deserved, then he's going to say his piece, right? That's just how I'm seeing it, and I could be wrong. He tells THR that it was in contrast to how he felt on Deadpool 2016 and Deadpool 2 2018, which were made by 20th Century Fox. He notes he was involved in the test screenings on those films and met with the marketing team on Deadpool 2. They had me along for the ride, and I call it zero drama. I was happy to be there, says Liefeld. In his podcast, Liefeld asserted a head-turning opinion about Feige, who's generally who generally is only spoken of in Hollywood and comic book circles with superlatives. I'm tripping over my words here, so excuse me. There's a lot to be said in this article. Kevin Feige does not treat comic book creators well. That is my personal experience, he says on his podcast. Asked about his topic, Liefeld tells THR, do I think he can improve his relationship with comic book creators? Yes. He says he wishes Feige would have spent a few moments to chat with him and his family at the Deadpool and Wolverine premiere and would like Marvel to acknowledge creators more in general. He pinpoints DC Studios' James Gunn as an executive and filmmaker who is constantly praising comic book creators, flying them to the Superman set. And I remember that. There was a bunch of comic book creators who helped build the character of Superman during the era of books that he's trying to make this movie from. And just in general, the key creators, right? And he brought them all to set and just had a good day and showed them what they're doing. And, that's really cool, right? It's really, really cool. Feige, however, is also known to publicly laud creators. So this is just giving a bit more benefit towards Feige here. So it doesn't sound too one-sided, I think. He name-checks creators at Comic-Con. He's often seen hobnobbing with creators on Marvel and red carpets. The studio, I know Marvel also does this. They fly creators out to their own movie sets as well, and they just did it for Fantastic Four here, as they say. In October, held a Comic-Con panel pairing the stars of Daredevil and the comic book creators together. So that's cool, right? They should do that more. Liefeld is known for being a relentlessly upbeat promoter of his work, and that's very true. Every time I see him, he's always he's got energy, man. His energy is something else, and he can talk a lot. he's energetic and personal brand. And despite the conflicting feelings, enjoyed hosting a series of fan screenings for Deadpool and Wolverine this summer. He admits he was nervous about dropping this podcast and revealing what he considers a loss. Getting denied from a party isn't the type of thing he'd usually publicize, but it seems like his fan base liked his more vulnerable side. Or maybe it was spilling of the Marvel tea, right? And I mean, that's what got me talking about this right now. As the episode became the most downloaded observations in his 5-year history. It also comes 1 week before his final Marvel work hit stands, Deadpool team up number 5. You can't always share your hits. Sometimes you have to share your misses. This one was a miss, says Liefeld, who adds, it was important for me to do the podcast so people could hear my voice. You didn't hear anyone who was angry. At times, it was hard to hide how sad I was. Right, and that's them at the Deadpool and Wolverine premiere, he and his family. And I think, that's the end of the article there. So, look, that's a lot, right? That's a lot. And thanks for sticking in there if you're still here. But I think this is worth talking about, right? And I know at the start of this chunk cast, I said I didn't want to go into things that are too negative, but this isn't a negative. This is more real world stuff, right? For artists and creators. This happens a lot, right? I've heard stories of, Jim Starlin, right? Creator of Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet and all that kind of stuff, that it's old news now, but he got paid a lot more from DC for them using Darkseid, right, and other fourth world elements in the Justice League movie. Then he got paid at the Marvel side, right, for the entire Infinity War thing, Endgame, Thanos over the years, all that kind of stuff. Right? How does that work out? Right? How can you not be frustrated by that? Right? If I was someone that created a character that was used by a studio that was earning billions of dollars over the last however many years, right? And I am not able to retire, from all the benefits or whatever. And I don't think it's just maybe you've got a bad representation. I don't think it's that at all. I think it's just Disney and Marvel, right? They'll squeeze whatever they can and take whatever they can away, right? I mean, they're in it for money. They're not in it, to support creators, right? And this just highlights multiple stories, that you can find online. And I've heard about over the years of Marvel just not paying as well as DC. Like DC doesn't pay that well either, but at least it's better, right? With more care and attention than what Marvel's done, right? So I just have to say this openly as a creator, right? And I'm sure I'm not alone in there that, it's concerning, right? if I put myself in those shoes, man, like, yeah, would I be tempted if I could go, if I was approached by Netflix or Marvel, Disney or Warner Brothers, whatever, DC, to take one of my things, right? To take one of my properties, my IP, my stories, what I've built, what I've made, right? And sign a contract, whatever it is, right? Would I be tempted to just do with whatever they're willing to offer? The temptation is really there, right? It's really there. You'd be like, man, yeah, this could be like my only choice to see this stuff on the big screen or developed this way, right? So you would be tempted to take it, right? But the fact is, if it goes and makes the billions, right? If it goes the distance, right, and you're not getting like the blowback from it, you're not getting the benefits of the aftermarket stuff. You're not getting the benefits of all the proceeds and the profits and like your cut of it and all that kind of stuff. Then, are you better off just owning it then? Are you better off just it being yours without anybody touching it, right? I just find it an interesting topic of what I would do in this situation. A lot of those creators, I see Twitter going off all the time about some key creators of Marvel and DC that can't even pay their medical bills, right? And that's why I want to talk about this. To me, it's not fair. It really isn't. That people that have created such loved characters over the years, such iconic characters that have generated billions of dollars, that have to do GoFundMes or Kickstarters, but GoFundMes or reach out to online handouts to pay for rent or medical bills when their life goes over, right? It shouldn't be that way. I don't believe so anyway. I just think I don't know all the legalities of it. I'm not privy to the contracts or anything like that, but how is it fair, right? Hey, thanks. That character you created just generated us $1 billion. I think 10 grand will cover that. Yeah, no worries, go away, right? And I've heard that figure. Get handing out to some of these creators where 10 grand out of $1 billion. It's just not fair, right? I don't think it's right. So I don't blame him. He's obviously, like the article says, and I said earlier, he's obviously got the money. He doesn't need to worry about the blowback. He's not going to work with Marvel again anyway, and they won't after this. So good on him, right? I think more creators, I hope, follow suit. I really do. There's a lot of indie creators out there who are doing just as good, if not better, than what DC and Marvel Comics are doing of late anyway, in recent years. So let's just do that, right? I hope to see more of this and just give the big fingers to the big two, right, until they start doing better for their creatives. Because God knows that they barely have any of that iconic status of creators in their companies at the moment. Barely. And if they do, they're doing their own thing. They've broken off and doing their own thing. And good on them, right? Particularly if they can own their own IP. Anyway, I won't go too much off on a tangent, but I just thought it was an interesting article, interesting situation. Marvel's a big fish, like a massive fish, and it's very rare to see creators come out of this caliber and try and chop them down, or not try, but just say their piece, and it puts them in a really bad light. So anyway, cool. Thanks for sticking around on that one. Let me know what your thoughts about this are. Do you think it's much to do about nothing? It's not, but let me know if you think so. Or, do you agree? Do you agree with all he's saying and that it's not fair and that he should have been treated better? I would expect so. If I was a creator of something that's earning billions, like, you give me the red carpet deal, you roll it out for me everywhere I go. You let me see things, right? You let me take part in this and have my piece, right? Anyway, cool. All right, next up we got Captain Planet. So let's go there. Cool. All right, so let's get stuck into this Captain Planet article. I know this is probably not going to do anything as far as metrics or analytics, whatever goes, but I don't care. I just think this is a cool story, and I didn't see it coming. So Captain Planet returns in new Dynamite comic book series, and he has a badass new look. Right, does he? Well, there's some images in this article, and we'll have a look at them shortly, but I just want to cover this. So for those who, maybe I'm aging myself here, but I think most people are aware of who Captain Planet is, or the cartoon from the 1999 series, right? Animated series from Turner Classic or whatever it was, Turner Studios, back in the day. Oh man, we used to love that show. That was massive back in the 90s. It's still good. I think it's one of the last bastions of those shows that has that really strong positive messaging, but it's not done in a like, oh, come on, like cheesy kind of way. Like, yeah, there's some cheese in there, but it's done in a way that's like, yeah, okay. It's lost in today. Like, I wish there were more cartoons or shows like that today with positive messaging like that, instead of just all this random stuff. Anyway, I sound like an old man shaking his fist in the clouds, but New Captain Planet comic book series is on the way, the first in 3 decades. And the hero is back with a new look and no mullet, which is one thing I'm disappointed in. He's reimagined for a modern audience, and that concerns me. Read on for details. Captain Planet was first introduced in a 1990 animated series, Captain Planet and the Planeteers, but he's now set to return in a new Dynamite and Warner Brothers Discovery Global Consumer Products comic book series. What a mouthful that is. That whole Warner Brothers Discovery merger is... I won't go there. He's received quite the overhaul. Now looking like he's ready to step into a movie... Right, so let's just pause on that for a minute. I know they've tried, but I think they might be really, really trying now. Captain Planet will be joined by his Planeteers in a series launching this April. I think this is a test bed. Honestly, I do. I think this is a test bed to see what the pickup is for this comic book series and to see what the reception is. If you've not been aware, if you look at what Marvel and DC do in their comics, you can guarantee those are about 6 months ahead of potentially what's in the pipeline for the MCU, right? 6 to 12 months. If you look at that, if you look at what's ahead in Marvel Comics, it gives you a bit of a clue of where the movies are going to go. And if you don't believe me, go look into it yourself. All right, this is a cheap method for them to put out a book, right? And just, it doesn't cost that much in retrospect to a movie that could fail after spending hundreds of billions of dollars. They're going to see if there's a fan base still there that'll pick this up. Anyway, it's going to be the typical thing, right? It's the same 5 ordinary young people from around the world, and they've got the power rings and all that kind of stuff, or the elements. You know, we've still got Gaia, you know, the priestess of Earth and all that kind of stuff. All the key elements are mentioned here. It's still Earth, Fire, Wind and Water and Heart, and they combine their powers to summon Captain Planet. All right, we've still got Kwame from Ghana for Earth, Wheeler from America channels fire, Linka from Russia with wind, you know, Guy from South Korea controls water, and you've got Marti from Brazil uses heart. Every comic creator has their own personal white whale, that singular property they've been itching to make their mark on, and for more than a decade, Captain Planet has been mine, says writer David Pepose. Right? Pepose. Don't know if I'm saying that any of that right, but I mean, I can't blame the guy. Captain Planet is awesome. I think as a concept, it's brilliant. And if I was a writer and I had the opportunity to take a stab at a new comic book series for Captain Planet or anything that I was excited or interested in, I'd be like, yeah, hell yeah, give me that, right? So if his energy's in there, if he understands what the property is, and what I said online was, when I first heard about this, if they do for Captain Planet what they do for the Boom Studios Power Rangers comics, this could be something really cool, right? Really cool. It's got me excited. I hope they nail it. I really do. I want to see this do really well. He'll be joined by artist Emin Casalos Vampirella for the first comic series starring Captain Planet in over 3 decades. They're kicking off the story with an energized yet faithful modernization of the franchise, in the same vein as Propose's approach to the smash hit Space Ghost series. Okay, I've heard good things about that, so that gives me a bit of hope there. But every time I hear about from modern audiences, it really gets me concerned. You know, make of that what you will. We've got 1, 2, 3 blokes and 2 girls in this one, but you know, do they still stay on the same side, so to speak, if you know what I'm coming from, or are they all kind of, is this going to be like a modern year take on these young people, if you know what I'm saying? I'll cringe very hard if it turns out to be that way. Hopefully it stays to what's true to the series and the characters. Before these would-be eco warriors can grasp their own newfound powers in pursuit of environmental justice, They're first going to have to learn to trust each other. Cool. So it's like an origin story. They'll come together. Awesome. It will be even more of a trial by fire experience when Gaia is kidnapped, forcing the inexperienced Planeteers to learn in action against the well-financed might of Lucian plunder. Awesome. Their first test against the ruthless exploiters of Earth won't be the hardest, but it all starts here. Captain Planet number 1 coming out April 23rd, timed to the same week as Earth Day. That's cool. Dynamite has also announced that issues will be printed on 70% recycled paper, of course. Makes sense, I guess. What a statement. Kind of stands for what Captain Planet is. The first installment features variants by superstar Mark Spears, known for his Monsters series, Christian Ward and Ben Oliver. The first 6 issues will also feature a special connecting set of covers by Jai Lee and June Chung, who you can take a closer look at. So, all right. So here's where we get in some of the imagery. I mean, I dig the beard, right? Of course I do. But I really wish they kept his mullet. Really do. This is obviously a realistic take on what he might look like. I think the red eyes with the blue is kind of creepy looking. He kind of looks terrifying, not going to lie. If he's meant to be a hero, I mean, come on. Let's tone it down a bit. But anyway, I dig what they're trying to do here. And they've given him like this weird kind of earth shoulders, like this rocky shoulders coming out of his chest here. Interesting take. I think they could have just gone away with the rock stuff and give him his mullet and kept the beard and called it a day. But the logo's there, which is awesome. So here's another interesting take. So beard. So I think he looks interesting here. Interesting is a nice way to say it. I don't know about the rock stuff coming out of his shoulders. I really don't. Like, I get it. He's of all of those elements. So how to represent it on the body itself, I guess. It is what it is. And this is the main cover that I saw that I thought looked really cool. So you can see Captain Planet's face behind the Earth there, or superimposed over the top. You can still see hints of his rocky shoulders there. Yeah, I think that's the choice cover, right? If I had to pick out of any of them. And this one's kind of cool. It's super cheesy, but that looks like Captain Planet, you know? Look at him. Look at him. Okay, we just froze there for a second. Look at him. Anyway. So we got the cast of characters here. So, you know, they do look a bit modern, right? Gaia just looks like Gaia. Like how do you improve on perfection? I mean, they nailed what her look like was in the 90s as well. Got the planet, new costume. I kind of dig it. I really think like the rocks, man. I keep saying it, but anyway, we'll see how it goes. See how different artists do it. This already looks better than the other examples that we just scrolled through. Kwame looks like Kwame, Wheeler, Linka, Guy, Marty all look like themselves, which is good. And I think that's it. Cool. Anyway, so I just thought I'd put that across your bow, right? If you were a fan of Captain Planet from the 90s, right? Or if you're younger now, and God knows if you're younger and you're watching me, I have no idea why. But I really hope this does well. And if this is a test bed, which is my theory for a live action movie that they've been trying to do forever, then I hope this does well. And I'll be looking forward to it. I don't do single issues, so I'm going to be one of those people that, yeah, I want to see this, but I'm not going to support it because I want a collected volume, right? So I hope this does well enough so that they can put these 6 issues, or if it goes to 12 issues, put it in a hardcover, sell it, and I'll buy it, right? Or if it does really well, like Boom Studios, Power Rangers, hell, I'll buy that deluxe annual, right, every year, where it's got everything that happened that year. I'll buy that hardcover. Not a problem. Anyway, Captain Planet and the Planeteers, new comic book, 2025. Looking forward to it. Hell yeah. Okie dokie. Right. So that's it. It's a bit of a super long one. First time back, right? I had a lot to talk about, had a lot to say. I promise I'll try and truncate this wherever possible going forward week to week. But there will be times where I'll just go on my tangents. I'll get on my soapbox and I'll just talk. All right, it's my show. I'll talk as long as I like. But I will be cutting these up into shorter segments. So if you don't like the long form, you can just catch the sections and go from there. Ask Chunt will always be put out as its own, and then I'll have its own playlist and all that stuff. So anyway, that's what we're doing. And that's this episode, right? This installment of Chuntcast. It's good to be back. A bit rusty, but it is what it is. Looking forward to doing this week to week. And if you'll catch me on all the other socials, I'll do random reels, and I have a TikTok account, which I'm having a bit of fun with that. It's just good just to do a little short video. I did a funny I thought it was funny, little skit of drawing a stick figure on TikTok, and I thought it was good, so I put it on Instagram and YouTube Shorts as well. It was fun, So if you're on socials, just check me out on there, or just unclechunt.com. That's where all my stuff is. And thanks for still being here. If you're still here interested in what I have to say, my perspectives, my points of view, then here I am. So I look forward to seeing you next week, and in the comments, even on the other videos that I upload separately. If you just want to watch those, cool. Feel free to leave a comment there, and I'll reply as best I can. And as I wrap this up, all right, I just want to really say thanks for your time, right? And I appreciate you for including me in your day. I know it's your time that you don't get back, so if you wish to spend it with what I'm putting out here, so thank you for that. Again, feel free to follow me on my socials there and unclechunt.com and other major platforms, and to keep abreast of everything I'm doing. In the meantime, till all I want, and may the power protect you.